I mentioned yesterday that I do not expect to produce a verdict till at the earliest later next week. I have obligations that are going to take me out of this building on May 6th and 7th. We're going to have closing arguments on the 5th. I trust, by the way, a day of court time is enough for the closings?
Yes, sir.
And whatever you want in terms of time, but so if you want to take an hour and only an hour, that's fine, but I'm not limiting you to that. The point being, even if you go a little longer than you think, one day should be fine for all argument.
Agreed. Yes.
So the case won't be marked as heard and submitted till the end of the 5th. I am more or less out of commission, so to speak, on the 6th and the 7th. And the 8th I might be too. I may or may not go to a judicial conference. Right. Well, but I can still work. I wouldn't have a hearing. The point is, as a practical matter, the earliest I could deliver a verdict would probably be the middle of the next week. And I do want to reassure the parties, because I think I've assured you this before. If Mr. Brelo is found guilty of one or both of these charges, it will be because the state has proved the element of that charge or those charges, the elements beyond a reasonable doubt. And because I wasn't persuaded that he had probable cause to believe that at the time of the death being caused, because if they don't prove the elements, I don't even get there anyway, he had reason, and I'm paraphrasing, but he had reason to fear imminent bodily harm for him or his colleagues. If, on the other hand, he is found not guilty, it will be because either for that charge or those charges, the state has failed to prove every element of each charge beyond a reasonable doubt, or the state has proved was proved by his burden. My point is, I'm only going to take the evidence in the law into account. I'm not going to be moved by outside forces. As to those outside forces, I have mostly tried to insulate myself during this trial from word of this case. But I'm not oblivious to things that are happening in this city and elsewhere. Moreover, word has reached me through my administrative judge that people in this city and this county responsible for the safety and security of its citizens, its residents, are fearful that there could be some violent response to whatever the verdict or verdicts might be here. It's also been brought to my attention that no matter what the verdicts are, guilty or not guilty, next week may not be a propitious time to deliver those verdicts because of what is known as Cleveland Police Week, which I understand is a gathering of police from, I think, around the state and maybe even the country, but some large gathering of police in this county to commemorate some of their past colleagues and to socialize and do. Concerns of those other people and decide that however big or small the risk is that something would happen during so-called police week, that I may just wait, even if I have a verdict ready, until the week after to deliver it. My point is that well, first of all, I'm not going to be rushed anyway, but second, I would not expect, it may happen, but I would not expect a verdict before the 15th of May. If you don't get that verdict before the 15th of May, the reason could be that I just don't have it yet, and I'm still working on it. The other reason could be I pretty much know what I want to do, but I have decided that it may be more prudent to at least wait until those commemorations are over before delivering a verdict. In telling you that, I'm not assuming that because there are going to be some number of police in town, friction would be greater. Again, no matter what the verdict, guilty or not guilty, it will just be because I've decided that whatever that risk is, and I hope, wish that it's very small, I've decided not to run that risk at all. So that's a long-winded way of saying if you don't get a swift verdict, it's either because I'm just slow, which has happened in other cases, but I probably shouldn't say that while Mr. Lloyd is recording what's being said, or it's because of the reasons I just gave you. So, look forward to hearing from you Tuesday, the 5th. And I might have one or two things scheduled, so how about if we start at 10 o'clock, the state object?
No.
Defense object.
That's fine, Judge, thank you.
Since we are on the record, any other sort of miscellaneous matter that should be addressed before we meet on Tuesday? I'll ask the plaintiff first.
None, Your Honor.
Defense.
Well, I was curious, how much notice will you give us relative to when you will announce the verdict in court?
Very, very short for the reasons that I just mentioned.
Okay.
But I or somebody will have, is there a point per, well, we can talk about this off the record, but you might want to designate a point person for who either the bailiff or I should notify, and I'll get Mr. Lloyd from beside his pool, and he'll come in, and we'll have a vote. I appreciate it. See you Tuesday at 10.
Thank you.
We're off the record. Well, I hope your May is spent productively, or your April is spent productively.
Very much so.
It is, it's fast now. It's 1 month and after I get better.
Never, and